we have just listened to that experience from a psychological perspective. What happens to a child when the person they trust and depend on becomes the person violating their boundaries?
Yes, child sexual abuse, I must say, is something that has been in existence since, let me say, ages. I mean, it is not something that is recent, because even in the 18th, the 19th century, Sigmund Freud talked about that. People who had their own relations, adult relations, abusing them sexually, were suffering from what we call hysteria, and so on and so forth. And I would say that this child sexual abuse is the involvement of a minor in any form of sexual relations that a person does not fully understand or does not even consent to, and they are made to be part of the act without necessarily understanding or appreciating what it involves. And any child that was also below the legal age, you say, is going through sexual abuse. And I must also quickly add that it does not matter whether the child freely consents or not. As well, a person does not have the intellectual understanding or have the full intellectual capacity to understand what they are engaging in, or where they are being forced to engage. That's what we refer to as child abuse. And this form of abuse, it can come from anybody. And as you said, mostly it can even come from very trusted people, some uncles, some cousins, some they are unfortunately their own fathers are also the culprits of these abuses. Then we have very rare occasions where the females to engage the male, but the reverse is true most of the time. That we have a lot of males engaging in sexual acts with children.
Okay, so listening to her story, there were behaviors that appeared to involve building trust and gradually crossing boundaries because she made mention of the fact that this said teacher was trusted. The pocket money, or her pocket money was given to this said teacher. So she goes to the said teacher for money. This teacher was her after school hours class teacher. So basically, she spent most of her time with this teacher. She made mention of that. This brings us to grooming. What exactly is grooming? And how does it typically happen? And what are some of the signs parents need to look out for?
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, most times people who abuse children sexually, they establish that kind of trusting relationship, and they give all manner of promises. Oh, with me you are safe, and so on and so forth. And it goes to extent where they will say, "Oh, whatever I will do with you, let you stay here. Don't tell mommy, don't tell daddy. If you say it, maybe you will die or something." And children, more or less, because the trust is there, they believe everything that the person says.
Yeah.
So it is normally abuse of trust. And the grooming has to do with the way you bring them, how you influence their psyche for them to understand certain things. And it goes to the extent that even the child doesn't even see anything wrong with having a sexual relations with somebody of that stature, that they are an adult, because it's part of the grooming. That's changing the psyche or the mindset of the individual for them to accept. Though, as I said in the definition, intellectually, the person does not have the full import of whatever they are engaged in. And the signs to look out for. There are times when the signs are not easily identified. But again, if the child more or less does not like what the person is doing, they don't easily say it. Or go to uncle so and so, oh, I won't go. And then I say, oh, so okay, I mean, the parents, most of them say all kinds of things that will let a child who is being abused still go back to the person. It can be, as I said, this is a teacher, but at times they are cousins, especially when they are staying with male adult cousins. It happens a lot. And then uncles, it happens. And then, as I say, on other occasions, unfortunately, it is the fathers who, in the midst of protecting their children so much, these fathers and their daughters, I mean, they are hugging, they are doing all these things. In case the child has started developing breast and so on and so forth, the other things, you see that a father who has the father and he has erection. And that is true where, oh, I am protecting you from everybody. Now I'm going to be everything to you, including having sexual relations with the children. So it graduates from one stage to the other.
So, Doc, you mentioning the signs. How can a parent distinguish between ordinary behavior and the fact that this could be a sign that something is happening with my child?
Yes, parents, in that sense, should be involved in the growing up of the child. But most times, parents of today, I mean, I don't know what I should say, pretend or are so busy that they always want the child to even be away.
Mhm.
Just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, school went on recess, basic schools.
Yeah.
And some children, just after a week, they are going for vacation classes. All these are the means by which these children they get themselves into because the parents don't even have time for children to know whatever is going on in their lives. Some, yes, of course, they consent though I would say they are of the under the legal age. Others also are quote unquote forced into it. What are the signs? Most times, one, the child maybe if maybe those maybe when you they are washing their dresses, I think then they see some stains. A child who is about 5, 6, 7, 8 years, they see some stains in their panties and so on and so forth. And there are some they easily become startled. If I have to say it in three for people to understand, it's behind the machine, and then also they become absent-minded. Most times you'll be talking to them and then they don't seem to hear you, though they are looking at you, they seem to be listening to you, but they don't hear
What you are
yes,
saying
because of the what is going on is more or less taking the toll on them. And then there are others too, they even start doing a lot of things wrong. Go right, they'll go left. Do this, and they'll always do the opposite of what is expected of them. And more other in this case, maybe children going through abuse also have this, and then some also become reclusive. They are always by themselves, and so on and so forth. And then you talk to them, what's wrong with you? They can't say it. And then there are situations too. They might have attempted to say to report, but they are shouted at. But I've had a number of cases like this. I had somebody who, okay, the time I saw her had been raped uh, 6 times. It was the sixth time. Even the last one was 3 boys who did that to her. And according to her, it happened to her when she was very young, before 10. She reported to the mother. The mother beat her. Why will you allow yourself to be molested? And since then, the uncle who was doing that kept doing that, and she didn't report again until when she started having what you call post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of rape. That is when she was brought to my attention. So all of these are some of the issues. Some don't have people they can trust, not even their own parents. Just a few days ago, I also saw someone who the father, yes, she informed the mother. The mother rebuked her that she should keep quiet, but didn't also confront the father. He stopped what she's doing. So she had to run from the homes. So now she's just staying by her own self. So a whole lot of these things are happening. So the signs mostly they can be very subtle. In other words, you have to pay close attention to be able to identify the sign that this child of ours is going through these forms of abuse.
Okay. If you just join us, we are having a conversation with Dr. Sarfo. He happens to be the director at the Guidance and Counselling Unit here at Koforidua Technical University. We are talking about child sexual abuse, grooming, and how it affects or the impact it has on these children psychologically. He has mentioned some of the signs where he stated that the child may be withdrawn, the child may not have or do things right. You will tell the child to go left, the child will intend go right. There are situations where the child is always absent minded. You are talking to the child, but the child's mind is somewhere else. There are instances where the least thing, then the child becomes startled. Niyem Asheno. Again, he made mention of the fact that some of these children try to voice out. They tell parents and then they intend being shut down or being shut up. Some of these things are the reasons why some children do not open up when such things are happening. Look, recently there was an incident where a public official went to a school and he was advising the kids. Then all of a sudden he paused and asked a child her name. This child answered, and the next thing this public official said was that you are very beautiful. You are my wife. I will marry you. Talking about instances like this, where society sometimes see these things as jokes, from your perspective as a counselor, what is your take on this? Does this amount to grooming?
Um, this I will not say, or let me say, I would say it wasn't proper for the person to say that because one, this is a minor. I don't know the age of the, but I think
Is it minor?
yes, this is a minor. And if you are a public official, you are in a position of trust. So it is rather your responsibility to make sure that such children are protected. She is not of that age to be told all these things. What needs to be done is to be encouraged for them to take their studies seriously instead of imprinting such things on their minds. So it was very inappropriate, very unacceptable, and as you said, rightly said that they are taken as a joke, and it is a form of harassment. That is a harassment on the part of whoever said that. We should be very mindful the kind of things we tell people, taking cognizance of their age, where they find themselves, and where the person making such statements also finds him or herself. Because it is a form of harassment that took place that time, that moment.
Where do we draw the line between what an adult dismiss as a joke or a compliment? Because adults tend to give kids compliments. So where do we draw the line between this and then the fact that it's inappropriate? Like this thing is inappropriate.
Yes, looking at our way of life, our cultural system, and so on. There are certain statements that are made freely, and then I mean we go away with it. Or they see a young girl who very beautiful. Oh, by the way, some go to the extent of actually having sexual relations with them even at that very young age. And this is something that has not been taken seriously as a society. So there are certain things that because some walk the talk.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain things that we should not joke with when they occur, because most times they carry whatever they say through that. Yes, yeah, she's my wife. They won't say my girlfriend, she's my wife, and I'll do this, and then eventually you end up doing that. So we have to, as a society, we must take cognizance of all this and then make sure that we groom our children in a proper way, and then being introduced to sexuality and that is when they are of age, and then but not at that time when they have no understanding of what is going on. So we have to we don't have to play down or water down on such things when adults start making them, because it creates a kind of impression on the mind of the child. Because as John Locke said, children are like blank slate, tabula rasa. So whatever is society that imprints on them. So when you keep hammering on the road, this is my wife, age 5, 6, even 10 years. This is my wife, this is my girlfriend, I'll marry you. You are telling them something. And it goes to a subconscious mind. And it even makes them behave certain ways or in manner that they're not even supposed to do at that age. Every age has its concomitant information that a child must get. And a 10-year, 11, 12-year-old child should not be seen as a wife material. That, oh, this is my wife, this is my girlfriend, this is my this. It doesn't actually help.
Okay. Is the psychological reason why children finds it very difficult to speak up when they are being sexually abused or harassed by people they trust or look up to. What do you think is the reason? Is it fear?
It is a combination of a lot of factors. First one, as we said in the opening statement, most of them, they build trust between themselves and the child before they do that. And because they trust the person, oh, this person has said that if maybe I report to my mommy or whatever, I will not get this, I will not do this, I will die, and so on and so forth. And they believe whatever the adult says. And they keep it very discreet. I mean, they don't even tell anyone. So that is one. Because the person who is doing that, they trust the person. That's what one reason why they don't say. And the second one, they really intimidate them. If you go and report, you will die. If you report, I will do this to you. And some to the way they are through intimidation. So it's very difficult for a child to say this. And then there are others who are even warned that if you tell your mommy, if you tell your daddy, they will kill you. And they don't want their parents to kill them. And for that reason, they keep it to themselves until they are walking the gate. The gate become very awkward, and then so on and so forth. That is where you'll be able to see it. And there are others too. They themselves are afraid that if I tell mother, if I tell father, they are going to beat me, they are going to kill me. Because maybe, for you know, they might have heard that this thing, if you do, you see what I'll do to you. And for that reason, they will keep it to themselves. So these are some of the reasons why the children, they don't tell their story and they quietly and painfully go through these abuses.
Dog growing up as a child. I have found the courage to tell somebody. As an adult, how do you have to respond to such a thing?
As an adult, when a child gathers the courage to tell us, let me say, this is where we as a society we fall short. We tend to always blame the victim.
Hmm.
When somebody is raped, the moment you make such a statement, you have deflated the person's sense of trust in you. Because no matter what, you have to appreciate the person and the problem they are going through and whatever they are telling you. So one, the victim blame must stop. We have to stop blaming the victims. Even if they walked into it, you have to one, accept them, appreciate what they are telling you, and then try to help them out. And then later, through counseling, you ask them how to be cautious the next time, but not to blame them. But the moment victim blame comes in, the whole situation becomes something else. You cannot help the person. Yes, so when the person comes, that is gathers the courage to come and to inform you or to tell you or to report to you, what you need to do is one, to just help the person to relax, and then let the person understand that you appreciate what they are telling you, and you even sympathize or empathize with the situation they have gone through, and then take them through the counseling or advice that will not predispose them to the situation again. So we don't have to blame them. We have to appreciate them and then help them out of it and build trust. You have to build the trust so that in case they encounter any such problem in the future, they will still have the edge to inform someone.
Okay, Doc, I have a question here for you, and this is from Auntie AC. She says, what is the right way to teach a young child about private parts, inappropriate touching, and body boundaries without frightening them?
Thank you. Again, our society very shies away from talking about sexuality because some of the inverse opinion that when you start talking about it, they would rather go into it and so on and so on. A lot of parents and caregivers, guardians shy away from talking to children about um, such things. But it is very important that, especially given the complexity of the society we find ourselves in now, it's very important that you tell them maybe the parts of the body that are not supposed to be that even as a young girl, uh, even generally, apart from maybe you playing and other things, the private parts are no go areas. And then even that some even start kissing very early. All those things are things that are not acceptable, especially kissing on the lip. A child to pay attention to the grooming, to the protection of their children. So the less obvious things, these are some of the things I've just mentioned.
Okay, I have another message here. How do we teach children to respect adults while also teaching them that they are allowed to say no when an adult makes them uncomfortable? Gifty, mal 50.
That is, though that it goes into what we call assertiveness training. Assertiveness, basically, I would say, standing up for your right without offending any other person. And for the respect, it's part of the grooming. When somebody says, gives you something, say thank you. If you're asking someone for something, say please, and so on and so forth. Though all these are some of the, uh, groomings that we do, and then to respect adults, of course, learning how not to insult is part of the grooming. And when somebody gives it, oh, thank you, but I cannot accept it, and so on and so forth. And then you can even quote, my mommy says I should not accept it. And then you have to reinforce it so that the persons out there do not change their mindset. From time to time, you ask them, "Have you been given a gift some recent time? Who gave it to you?" And so when you what did you say? And so on and so forth. No, it is no refusing a gift is not it's not disrespect.
Okay.
Though it is very important that we pay attention to these things.
Mm. Okay.
How to groom them when you sit down, even how to sit from childhood, they must learn that. So that you don't sit down, open their legs so wide and so on and so on. Because the grooming starts from that, and then they, of course, you become part of them, and then they grow with it. So, as the child is growing, and then at every stage, the child is born a neonate, they become an infant, they become a toddler. So then when they become toddlers, that's where they have to be taught all these things. When you go to school, don't let any of your mates touch this part of your body. Don't even allow any adult to touch this part of your body, and so on and so forth. Let them imprint them on their minds so that they know areas that are supposed to be touched, those areas that are not supposed to be touched, and so on and so forth, and they will grow with it.
Okay. You can also join in the conversation by sending your questions and comments to 0557 646253. And if you are live also, or you've joined the live on TikTok, you can also leave your comments there. Doc will definitely answer your questions for you. We are talking on child protection, understanding and protecting our children when it comes to child sexual abuse, grooming, and the impacts this has on the children psychologically. Again, you can send your comments to the number 0557 646253 via WhatsApp, and I'll read them out for you. Now, we've spoken about the impact some of these things have on the children. Now, let's talk about prevention. Are we sometimes placing too much responsibility on the children? Because you made mention of the fact that some parents, because of work, they are not available. Hence, the child needs to grow up. You just have to grow up very early. For instance, some of us, we grew up with our parents not being around. So when you come back from school, you would have to fend for yourself. If there is food you want me to eat, you do your homework yourself. So you literally have to grow up. What are some of the ways we as parents and society can help prevent such things from happening?
Yeah, every parent has been enjoying to train up the children the way they should go. so that when they grow up, they do not depart from it. So parents have an onerous responsibility in training, grooming, bringing up their children. We shouldn't pretend that we are so busy because you marry and there is no child. You go to, or you go from doctor to doctor, or from prayer camp to prayer camp, and so on and so forth. And if you have the child too, then you pretend that I'm so busy I cannot bring my child up, and then I will allow the school system. So they go to school 3 months, and then the vacation they're supposed to stay home. In fact, playing at home, I have never been a fan of extra classes. Playing at home is part of nurturing. The children should be home. They will play. They will. There are times they fight. Don't even mind them. Let them just fight, cry, and so on and so. They are all part of the grooming, and then they will solve their problems among themselves after fighting and crying. It's not all the time that even as a parent you have to intervene. And maybe this not directly the answer to the question, but I'm telling you, it's not all the time that even as a parent when your children are fighting, you have to even intervene. That time, just let them be. They will fight and then they will continue. It is all part of the grooming, part of the training, part of the nurturing. It helps them to one, learn how to establish a personal relationship. Two, learn how when conflicts arise, how to deal with them, and so on and so forth. So all these things are not just for nothing. They are there for a lot of good things. So letting the children learn and learn and learn, their social life is taken away from them. They are on vacation. They are supposed to be still going for extra class. What kind of knowledge, what kind of intelligence do you expect the child, to have? So these are some of the things. But now coming back to what you said, the question you asked, it is very important that parents must be involved and they must be interested in the daily lives of their children. Even if you don't have quantity time, the quality time, about 30 minutes you spend with a child, you will know everything that went on with them the whole day. Okay. There's this doctor whose child once said that is the most useless person in this house. A physician specialist. That's what the child said, because he is always at work. When he is home on the weekends too, he is so tired, he doesn't want the children to come. So to them, he is of no value to them in the house. That is the most useless person in our house. He told me. He doesn't care whether you pay the fees or whatever. They don't care about that. All that. It means that the children, they need the parents. Much as the parents also need to see the children grow in a certain way that they also expect of them. So it's very important that parents should be interested in the children, what went on at school, what went on in the home, and they should ask probing questions. How the day went, and so if they have an association with somebody, with a special adult, how they are faring with them, and so on and so. So when you as a parent, when you build that kind of trust of the child in you, they will always tell you everything. They will tell you everything. We have some children who even after writing their IA, hey, I'm done writing the IA, I'm doing this and that. So it's very important that you establish that kind of relationship with the child, but don't create a kind of wall between you and your child who cannot come to you. But you have to rather create a bridge that they can work on it and always all the time come to you. Okay. Yeah, so it's very important that we do all these things. And when you're able to build the trust, the child will tell you everything. And then you also tell them what they are supposed to do, the do's and don'ts of life, the goals and no goals, the likes and dislikes, and so on and so on. All these things, that's what we call primary socialization. It's the parents who are supposed to teach the children all this.
Okay. Okay. Doc, okay, so I have a question here. Good morning. Yeah, this is Mandy doing the listening in Okrase. Sometimes adults say things like, don't sit on people's laps or don't go into someone's room. Are there other less obvious boundaries parents should teach children to protect themselves?
Thank you. As it's a less obvious boundaries.
So
it has been
she's saying that don't sit on people's lap, don't go into someone's room. Aside these, are there other less obvious boundaries parents should teach children to protect themselves?
Yes. Yes, there are. Taking of gifts is very important. Because in the course of my practice, I've identified that most times gifts are used to entice children a lot, and they are not very expensive. Toffees, take 10 CDs, and so on and so forth. But children easily establish trust because their minds are not so matured to at times differentiate between what is really wrong and what is right at that moment. And even if they realize it is wrong, it's difficult for them to even have a change of mind because they don't have that kind of cognitive or intellectual capacity to do certain things. So it's very important that children should be taught not to accept gifts. And then even in situations where they accept gifts, even in school, they have to come and show it to the parents first before the decision will be taken whether they should eat. But even if a child, if it's not a prize that have been given, teacher so and so gave me this topic, teacher so and so, everything, either they reject it or even if you take it, come and show it to mommy, especially before you, whatever you like to do with it, you do with it. That is one thing, that's one area you have to pay attention to. Yes. And then also going to people's houses, I don't know, like, to eat or to, I'm going to visit so friend and so on and so forth. All these are some of the things. In fact, the life has become so complex. So it has made parents become overprotective. When we were all growing up, I mean, the rural areas, we go to this place. But now the world has become so complex that if you should leave your child, and you know, because of standard of living getting better, children, I mean, they're growing up, they look so beautiful and so on and so forth. And we still have the pedophiles around. Exactly. People who only have sex with children. So it's every parent's
survivor listening to us today who has never felt safe enough to speak about their experience, what would you say to such a person?
They have to um, take a step forward, a bold step to seek one, maybe someone they can trust. But one thing that the person you can trust may not necessarily have the arsenals to help you. Therefore, it's appropriate that they go and see a counselor who will help them, whether a counseling psychologist or a clinical psychologist or anybody with training in counseling who can help them, because they are the ones who will be able to let them take them through all the issues and then come out with the appropriate solutions on how to one accept the fact that this has happened cannot be undone, but moving forward, you appreciate yourself. People who are going through self-blame, we help them now to do away with the self-blame, and then now, the way forward is that they adopt that kind of resilience strategies to be able to take care of themselves. So, I mean, we have people who can help them out of it, whether they're suffering from what they call delayed post-traumatic stress disorder, or they have self-esteem problem, whatever they have, they should seek counseling to be helped.
Okay, Doc. I have another message from Auntie AC. She says, if you could give parents just three things to remember when it comes to protecting children from grooming and sexual abuse, what would those three things be?
One, pay close attention to the needs of your child through teaching them how not to accept things from especially strangers and so on and so forth. Secondly, parents must build trust. They should let their children trust them. Okay. A lot of children go through this because they cannot trust their parents. The parents have not opened the doors for their own children to trust them. Okay. So as I said earlier on, if you are a parent, don't build a wall to separate you and your child emotionally, physically, psychologically, even spiritually, but rather build a bridge on which your child can walk to you in times of need. That is very important. Okay. And then be interested in the daily activities of your child. When they come from school, or how did the day go, and so on and so forth. So all these are part of the trust building. And then also give them the assurance that if you have any problem, I am there. As a parent, you are my responsibility. So if you have any problem, always don't go. I should be the first person you have to come to before you go to any other person.
Okay.
And if the child has even done something wrong for which this thing has happened, do not abuse them, do not beat them. That is the time you can even let them build a trust in you.
Okay.
They will tell you everything, even in their adult ages.
Okay.
They will not hide anything from you.
Very true. Very, very true. And one thing I've taken out of this is build a bridge that the child will walk on to you. Don't build a wall. And be very much interested in your child's daily activities. Thank you very much, Doc. But before you go, your final words, anything you want to tell us and our listeners.
So thank you. Um, the child abuse is very real, and it has been there since ages. It is not also the fact that it has all been practiced doesn't mean it is good. It is still bad, and the onerous responsibility is on parents to protect their children. Let us pay attention to their needs. Parents should desist from punishing their children when they take the bold step to report such things that have happened to them, but rather they have to give them the listening ears so that the child can trust them.
Okay.
And then also to adults who do that, it is a very cowardly act to go and molest a child 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, and so on and so forth. It is very unacceptable because if they seem to be the easier target, they should always keep in mind that cheap things are very expensive. Therefore, if you want someone, go to somebody who is of age, go and propose. If the person accepts, you continue. If the person does not, go to the next person until you get your own. And everyone should resist from molesting children, sexually abusing them, and so on and so forth, because it doesn't help, because it has a lot of telling effect negative on the children, even some to the end of their life. So we should all stop that and then let the children grow freely and then also develop freely their abilities and the talent that God has given them.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sarfo, for honoring our invitation. So you just heard from Dr. Sarfo, Director at the Guidance and Counselling Directorate here at Koforidua Technical University. He has spoken a lot. He has spoken on child sexual abuse, the impact it has on children. He has made us understand what grooming is, the signs we need to look out for. He made mention of the fact that children, when going through such things, will either withdraw, they lose attention or lost attention. They become uninterested in things they used to be interested in before. He made mention of that, and they become withdrawn. Again, as a parent, create an environment where the child could freely open up to you. And when a child opens up to you, do not, shut the child down, abuse the child, or blame the child, but rather bring the child in, accept the child, draw her or him or her closer, and then take the next step to help the child. Again, if you are listening to me as a survivor of such and you haven't come out from the whole trauma and psychological effect yet, Doc says speak to the right person who can help you, the expert who can help you, so you could, at least come out from whatever it is you are going through. Thank you so much, Doc, for your time.
Thank you too. God bless you all.